Welcome back to the Knit Song Podcast. This is episode 2, and I'm so excited to have had a couple subscribers from the first video. And I know one of them is an old knitting buddy of mine, and one is my mom. But the others, I was so excited because one of the reasons I wanted to do this whole just video podcast thing and just see how it goes is to meet new people and to connect. So I'm super excited that you subscribed, and I'm looking forward to getting to know you. And so thanks so much for watching. So for episode 2, I moved from the table to the couch because of the squeaky chair problem from last time. And this time you'll notice I can move and there's no squeaky chair. So I figured the couch would be a better place. Yes, so introductions. My name's Audrey, and I'm just posting this little video, and I am on Instagram as I Knit a Little Song. I'm on Ravelry, but I don't use it as much, and I'm going to get better about actually updating my projects. But my name on Ravelry is katknitss, like Katniss from the Hunger Games, but with the word knit kind of squeezed in the middle. And my brother-in-law helped me come up with that one day on the couch when we were just home from seeing the Hunger Games, and I was super into it, and I was making my Ravelry account. So thanks, Erin, for that. Yeah, so I can write those names down if you ever want to connect with me. I'd say Instagram is the quickest way because I'm always checking that to look at all the different people I follow. And I'll put that in the description box below. And I would love to talk to you and hear from you and share. So that's a little bit about me. Finished objects for this episode are cheats because since this is still the beginning of the videos that I'm hopefully making, I can still pull from past things. So these are old FOs, but still good. So, and I'm drinking coffee out of my favorite mug today to remind me of my happy home. And as I look out the window and I see tons of snow pouring down, it's quite a shift in location. But the first finished object that I was going to talk about today was my Reyna Shawl, which is a free pattern on Ravelry. And let's see if I can do this without killing my mannequin. It is a top-down shawl that is just garter and like mesh lace kind of interchanged with some simple increases on the top and the center increase line. And it's really warm and it's fun. I knit this out of, you know what? I have no idea what I knit this out of. It was in my stash, but it's like a really simple kind of green and black flecked color that I liked. And it's a nice little triangle wraparound thing. I love the size of it and the squishiness because sometimes when I'm wearing this I can pull it over my head as a hood because moving from California to Utah I really don't have I don't have proper winter gear yet, so sometimes my shawls double as hoods, but that's fine. But it's really comfy, it's really cozy, and I think it's still for free, but it's the Reyna Shawl, Reyna. And I don't know who the designer is, but whoever they are, I'm a big fan because this has been a project I have worn a lot. So that is a finished object that I finished over the summer, so 6 months ago. But I still wanted to show it because I love it. All right, the next one is actually crochet. And it is an African flower motif, which is the front side, blanket. And I really had so much fun with this. I saw at the library some book and someone had made an ottoman that was covered in this type of fabric, and I thought that was so cool, but I wanted a blanket out of it. And they didn't have the pattern, it was just a picture, and it wasn't a pattern book, so I thought, okay, I'm going to figure out how to do that. So I went to just African flower, oh no, I think I just looked around on Google and YouTube for what this type of hexagon was, found out it's called African flower pattern, and then I YouTubed that, and once I had that, I just made a ton of these motifs in a lot of different cotton yarns that I had found on a really cool sale, and I just went to town, and this was like a really therapeutic blanket project for me, because this is when I crocheted this right when we had moved. And I can talk more about why we moved and everything in next episode or so, but basically California's super expensive, and my husband and I are born and raised from there and loved it, love our family, everybody's there, but at the same time just the price of the area is insane, and living costs, and yeah, so we got a job opportunity in, you know, Utah, up in the mountains basically, and it was a surprise, and it was really something that we were excited about doing, and so we jumped and we took it, and we have been here for 2.5 years now. So but when we first moved, I was super homesick. I was excited about the new chapter we'd started, but I was also just, you know, coping with all the change. And this project was like a therapy blanket, because every day after school, I'd teach, and I'd come home and I'd make at least 2 or 3 hexagons, and it would just kind of restore order to my brain. And it was just something familiar to come back to every day. So this has so many good memories attached to it. And I love the bright springy colors. It's a happy project. It needs a good wash, because we took it to an outdoor concert, I think, a while ago. But yeah, this is a favorite of mine, and I really love it. I seamed up the way I constructed it is I did them all separate. I have yet to master the whole connect as you go. I want to get good at it, but I am not good at any of those methods for connecting motifs as you crochet. So I did these all separate and then seamed them all, and I didn't use, I think I just used a whip stitch. It wasn't even anything fancy, and I didn't use a certain pattern. I kind of just went around, and then I'd go around the next one. When I ran out of yarn, I'd start again, and it was kind of a wacky assembly, but I enjoyed it. And this is how it looks on the seams, if you wanted to see how that kind of turned out. But yeah, so African flower hexagon blanket. Yeah. So works in progress. I didn't make much progress. Whoa, my hair is kind of going crazy today. But I did not make a lot of progress since my last video on anything that I wanted to do. It's the weekend, and I'm going to make progress today. But I'm super excited about this guy. And I posted on Instagram about it because I just love this. I've gotten a few rows, but I really can't wait to start shaping the neck. And then it's going to feel like I'm really close to being done with the front. So I'm super duper excited about that. So hopefully tonight, me and this thing have a date. We're going to get things done. And that's the Sterling Cables sweater. Something I did get a little progress done on, and this is a work in progress. Oh boy. My friend in high school always teased me about the fact that my hair does this, and every day to this day, years after high school, when I wear my hair up and on humid days, it'll just pop right out. So so here is my granny stripe crochet blanket. I made a tiny bit of progress on this, but I am having a moment of confusion. It's happy confusion, but it's confusion because everyone has these, the ones that I've seen on Instagram that have inspired me, on different podcasts that I love to watch. I marvel at the colors people have in their stash, and my stash, I deplete it pretty quickly. I kind of tend to buy yarn as I do a project, and I do have a little bit of a stash that builds up, but not so much. So I bought a few things for this one, and I do have some leftover red sock yarn. I do have some different colors, but I'm wondering about how to select the next color, because I like the way that there's a randomness to a lot of people's work, and I'm wondering, and this is a question I was planning on asking, and if you have an answer or a thought or a comment, I would love for you to comment below and let me know what you think. When you're doing color work projects like this, even if you're doing the same one, how do you kind of pick colors? Or do you make it just purely random? Because there's a random look to the granny stripe cardigan, but I wonder how much of that is kind of semi-random or how much of it is actually planned, like if people plan the colors. I am doing the magic knot kind of thing, so you don't really know exactly when you ball up, you know, and you tie all the different knots of yarn and you make one of those magic ball cakes of yarn, and I ran out of mine because I finished. This was my first one. You don't always plan, you know, unless maybe I'm just not doing my math homework. You know, you'll be mid-row and you'll get a new color. So I know that there's some element of randomness, but I'm just wondering, how do you pick your colors for projects like this? Especially ones that are supposed to be really colorful. Is it completely random? Do you do a semi-random like gradation of colors? I've seen some cool like ombre effects. Do you plan it? Do you not? I just would love to hear what other people think about that, because I'm wondering, should I try to plan a cool, looks like it's random but wasn't scheme, or should I just keep going and let it be random? I just don't know what I want to do. So let me know what you think and how you pick colors for projects like this. So I would love to hear from you below. I just realized I have an FO little finished object this week from sewing that I didn't mention, and it is just another little project bag, and it's got little cherries on it, and I just love this fabric. It's super cute, red zipper, same lining on the inside. I made one for my mom for Christmas, and I liked it so much I was gonna make myself one. So I did that this week, and that was a lot of fun. I mentioned on Instagram, where I posted this in progress, I guess, that this was from a YouTube tutorial from Gretchen Hirsch, and she is like my sewing inspiration. And she posted a video of how to make a clutch bag that's lined, and that's the pattern that I've been using for the basic project bags that I'm doing, and I just do it a little bit bigger than her clutch pattern was. But yeah, it's a great tutorial if you're looking to make a lined bag, and it's super simple. You can knock them out pretty soon once you get good at it. The first one took me forever, but that's just because I'm new at sewing again, and yeah, so I highly recommend that. All right, so last class, I mentioned I'm a teacher, so this isn't the last class. Last podcast or last video, I mentioned that I had been gifted this beautiful yarn by my mom, and I couldn't find a pattern worthy of its goodness, and I am so happy to report that I think I have, and I'm really excited about this one because one of my favorite knitting podcaster people is Katie from Inside Number 23. She has brightened many an hour of my knitting, or whether I'm just cooking and watching, but this year I have really watched a lot of her videos and just really enjoy her as a person and her projects as well. And she is hosting an Andi Satterlong, it's what she's calling it, and Andi Satterlund is an amazing designer that is on Ravelry. And so if you're part of that Cal, I'm gonna join, and I'm super excited. So I think what I'm gonna do with this yarn is I'm going to knit her Sunshower cardigan, and I brought a picture of it right here. And this is actually my first Cal. So I've watched other people be in Cals. I've been such an observer, but this video is part of my desire to just jump in and be part of the community. And I'm so excited to actually participate in a Cal. So this will be my first knit along that I'm joining, and I'm super excited. So the Sunshower cardigan, whoa, looks like this, and it's gorgeous. And it's the same weight as my blue yarn that I have, and it looks like I have just enough. And if I end up not having enough, it's top down. So I think what I'll do is I do have some golden colored worsted weight that I could do the bottom rib section around the waist. I could maybe make that a contrast color if I need to, or grab some more of this yarn, but I think I've got just enough, and I'm so excited to post on Ravelry today, to buy the pattern, download it, and cast on. So I'm super excited about that. Yeah. So another thing I wanted to kind of put out there for this video was my knitting backstory, and I'll do it super quick because it's long and I can condense it. But for me, there was a day in college where I was in a gen ed class, and it was my junior year, but I still had this gen ed class to get out of the way. And it was called Critical Thinking and Problem Solving. And I enjoyed it, but there were times when I zoned out a little, and the girl who sat in front of me most days would, under her desk, have a crochet project, and she would crochet so fast. She worked on scarves, hats, a lot of just basic stuff, but to me it was like magic. It was like watching just this amazing thing be born, and I was like so intrigued. And she was a senior and a little older, and I never had met her before. I just knew her name, I knew of her, and I was like, oh, Audrey, you should ask her how to do that. You should just ask her, because you know you want to crochet, you know you want to learn, just ask her. And so I worked up the courage, and I asked her, and her name was Ellie. So Ellie, if you're watching this, thank you. She was so nice to me, and she showed me the basics of crochet. And from then on, I kind of used the internet to be my teacher, but she really kind of set me on that journey just one afternoon when I asked her, like, could you just show me a little bit about how you make that? And she was so kind and just showed me the basics, and I was hooked ever since. Oh, puns, of course. But yeah. So then I crocheted a little bit in college, but when I graduated and became a teacher, I had a really, as most teachers do, I had a really hard first year. It was rough, just because there's so much entailed in the whole job, and just, you know, first job out of college, being one with so much responsibility. It was a rough year, and all day long I was either talking or listening. I was on all the time, and I would come home and I would just be like needing silence and just completely empty and needing to be filled up and have some order. And crochet, at the time, I didn't know how to knit yet. Crochet was that like perfect opposite of being on, being in front, planning a perfect lesson, and then 4 seconds into the lesson, you're trying to hook the kids and get them excited about, you know, whatever you're teaching that day, and someone raises their hand and needs to go to the office, somebody starts talking and needs to be disciplined. You know, you plan this beautiful thing, and it's not up to you to see it to fruition. It's up to your students to some degree. So crochet was like that perfect opposite, where I could plan something and I could execute it by myself. Instead of having to talk and be up front, I could be watching a video or having tea or coffee and just orderly doing stitch by stitch, and it was so therapeutic to have that order and that release. So I got really into different stitches, different combinations, and then I really wanted to wear more garments or construct more garments. And what happened was I realized that I love crochet, but a lot of the things that I wanted to make, I wanted more drape from. And I realized I need to learn to knit to make these things that I want. And so I did. I basically used YouTube and a book called the Knitting Encyclopedia, and I just jumped in and learned pretty quick, because crochet was a great, you know, experience to already have, tensioning the yarn, and the ideas are similar. So I learned pretty quick. But once I started knitting, I was really, really, really just, my mind was blown with all the combinations and the possibilities. And it, again, has been through the years something that I come home from a day at school and I just enjoy getting to work on a piece of a project that I have. So yeah, so that's kind of how knitting therapeutically helped my journey as a teacher, and still does. And yeah, that's kind of how I got started. So yeah, I would also love to know in comments how you came upon the world of knitting or crochet and just, or even sewing. And just, I love hearing how people get into things and why they choose to do what they do. I'd also love to know how you pick your next project. This was my next and last little thing today, is I really get interested in how people like to knit. And I've heard that there are, I can't remember the article, it said like 4 types of knitters: the process knitters, the dreaming knitters, the people that are about the colors and the what ifs and what it could be, the gift knitters, and the product knitters, the people who just want the actual thing. And I've heard other people talk about that, and I don't really know what I am, because on some days I'm totally the dreaming knitter who is just looking at beautiful, beautiful yarns, and just imagining all the different things I could do with it, or looking at patterns. But some days I'm definitely a process knitter. I love the actual learning of a skill, and knowing how to make a type of cabled pattern that I'd never done before just ticks a happy box in my head, and I feel great about it. And yet other times I kind of am motivated by the product that it gets, and I'm thinking I just need more sweaters, or I need more shawls or something like that. So if you wanted to comment or reply and tell me what type of knitter you think you are, I would love to hear about that, because I think it's fascinating just what a wonderful thing it is, and how everybody approaches it a little bit differently. Even though most knitters seem to have so much in common, it's fascinating how just there are so many different ways of enjoying it, and so many different approaches to the type of creativity that it offers. So I would love to hear from you. Yeah, so I think that's it for today. I am going to finish this coffee, download and buy I'm going to purchase the Sunshower cardigan by Andi Satterlund, and I'm going to hopefully cast that on this weekend, and I will Instagram about it and let you know how it goes. I'm nervous because for some reason I get nervous at the beginning of projects, but it's part of the excitement for me, I guess. But yeah, I hope you have a great week and lots of happy knitting and crochet memories to go through your week with you. And yeah, like I said, feel free to let me know just thoughts on those different questions, and or just if you wanted to comment and just say hi, that'd be awesome. And yeah, thanks so much for watching. Have a really great week. Bye.